this was the hardest thing to get together. I am pulling what hair I have left already. I cannot believe, look at, well, I'm just so amped up. Look at what I've got going on, boys and girls. This is the first ever promoters roundtable. We've got some of the finest promoters in our area. We have Slick Wagner Brown representing Tessa Strength Wrestling out of East Hartford, Connecticut. We have Kara Scarfo representing PWA Pro Wrestling Academy CT. They used to be out of Cheshire. We don't know where they're going to be when they come back. We have Mario. We have Mario Mancini. He's representing PAPW, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. They're out of East Haven, Connecticut. And we have Mike King to finalize off this whole roundtable thing. And I always forget what town you're out of, sir. Please remind us.
I'm out of Oppenheim, New York, which is west of Albany.
Oh, see, I would never remember that. I'm
Yeah.
just going to say.
I've been up in my neck of the woods a few times.
So what I'll do is I'll just say Immortal Championship Wrestling out of Albany. We'll just kind of call it like that if that's okay. Oh,
works for me.
First thing, I want to thank everybody for getting together, because I know even though there's the world is topsy-turvy, we all got a lot of stuff going in our lives. And I can't thank each and every one of you for coming in and sitting down and giving this a test run, because this is the first ever. And we're going to see how this goes. And if it goes well, I would love to get more promoters, because there's a stigma. And I'm going to start right there. There's a stigma, especially with fans, that all promoters don't like each other because this is my place. This is my territory. This is my area. These are my wrestlers. And I'm trying to kind of get this together to put that stigma to rest, because I am telling you, it's been on there for a long time in wrestling. So I'd like to kind of go round robin with each of you. Miss Scarfo, you kind of helped me get this thing really started off, and I appreciate that. Now, the idea came, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. Now, the reason why I thought it was a great idea is because of that stigma of promoters don't like each other. Can you give us some of your thoughts on that, if you could, please?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that statement doesn't apply to me, because I mean, I get along very good with Mario and Slick, and I've just met Mike, but I'm sure we get along good too. My company didn't get along with Mario's company way back in the day, but that's kind of been settled. So, I mean, I guess that it can happen. It does happen, when, with certain things. But I don't know. Mario and Slick have always been super nice to me. I mean, when I first got diagnosed with MS last year, Slick was one of the first people that reached out to me. So as far as I'm concerned, the stigma hopefully will go away, especially with stuff like this where more of us can get to talk together too.
Yeah. Same question, Mr. Mancini. Do you feel that there's a stigma within the wrestling community?
Well, only one person. Listen, I myself and Roma, Big Steve and Paul Perez, who are the four partners of Paradise Alley. We all come from the World Wrestling Federation, not the WWE. And back in the 80s and early 90s, we were there to help each other. We just kind of bring that forward. We pass it forward to our students. And I know Slick's worked for me. Kara knows what we've been talking about. You know what I mean? I believe that independent pro wrestling should be interchangeable. You know what I mean? I have wrestlers, I have referees. I think my guys have even worked for Immortal. I think listen, I feel very good when other promoters welcome my guys with open arms. You know what I mean? So I'm appreciative, and if any promotion wants to send their guys to me, I'll be more than happy to use them. You know what I mean? So, my guys have spent a lot of time with Slick, and I think it's interchangeable. I think the world of independent pro wrestling, we should all work together. Like I said, there's only one person that really brings that stigma, and that's only because he can't look over the ring apron.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now, Mike, same question. Do you feel there's a stigma? And if you notice, Mr. Mancini was talking about the men and women that he works with, going back and forth with Slick and going up to Immortal. Same question to you, sir.
I mean, Slick's worked for me plenty of times. He was actually my first ever champ. So Paul Roma and Rich Holiday. Rich Holiday was one of my champs with the help of Paul Roma. So, I mean, I absolutely had the pleasure of working with Paul. It was wonderful, and I enjoy working with other promotions. And if as Slick, I'm easygoing, very easygoing. Get along with everyone, and I treat everybody like family that comes in.
Now, every single promotion says, people say family and stuff. But here specifically, we are a family. And I feel like you just said, I think if everybody could work together as such, interchanging talent like that, it does become a bigger family, because that's what it's supposed to be. That whole community is just supposed to be a run-on family from coast to coast, from country to country. That's what it's supposed to be, my man. Slick Wagner Brown, same question. And I know your students go there, here, and everywhere. And same thing, same question, sir.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's best for the talent at the end of the day. So the more ring time they can get in front of people, the better they're going to be. And I mean, the end game is, TV and making that money and supporting your family. That's the end game. And, if they can do that, then, other guys will want to work for our individual companies as well, because they'll see it as somewhere where they can get their feet wet and get experience and ultimately catch the eye of, WWE, New Japan, AEW.
Now, I'm going to stick with Slick Wagner Brown, and I'm going to talk some of your students, and I hate to put these two words together, the firm. I hate putting those two words together. But anyhow, they have created themselves some huge personalities. They've really ran with their individuality, but came together as a team. And not only that, but they've gone to PAPW and they've brought the heat, if you will, over to PAPW and other companies, Bell Time and such. And I could probably go on to a couple more. Seeing your students come up like that and really thriving in other companies, what does that do for you as a teacher, a promoter, and you have a dojo? We call it the TOS dojo. What does that do for Slick Wagner Brown seeing stuff like that?
It feels good, because I know those guys when they walk in and, know absolutely nothing, or just know very minimum, the basics, and to see them build on that and make something of themselves, and where other promoters want to use, and ultimately get exposure for themselves and those guys. It's a good feeling, and I'm sure it makes them feel good too. Listen, at the end of the day, I know what it's like to be a student. I know what it's like to be a trainer, and I know what it's like to be a talent. And all those things feel good in their own way. But the best feeling to me personally is helping someone, come up in our business, helping them accomplish their goals and their dreams. That feels really good, to help somebody else, dream and accomplish that.
Very well put, my friend. Love those words. Miss Scarfo, you had PWA CT. It was running in Cheshire, Connecticut. Nice little intimate setting. We've talked about it a bunch. I probably talked about it on 80% of my interviews, I swear. Love PWA. Now, once PWA went down, your students that were there and such that were starting to come up, they didn't know where to go. So they got on the Google. Some actually went to TOS. Some went to PAPW and other places surrounding. How do you feel now seeing guys like Zach Gibbs and Elijah Six and Ryan Frost and there's many that came through your doors that kind of split off and went into both companies. How do you feel as a promoter seeing some of the students that were coming through and shining now in other companies?
It's proud, I guess you could say. I think it's. I don't have kids, but I guess it would kind of be like along those lines, where you see them come up from the ground and they're still going and they're still, accomplishing what they are now. So it's just I'm proud of everybody that I see, and I'm thankful too that there are the schools like Slicks and Mario's, that they were able to go to too. So it's a really good feeling,
Now, Mike, do you offer training like Slick Wagner Brown has the TOS dojo and the PAPW? They have their own training facility. Do you have a training facility like that for you guys? Do you home breed students?
No, I do not, unfortunately.
Okay.
I refer a lot of guys to Slick down that way because I know his background and who trained him, and so. But right at the current time, I don't. I'm
Okay.
hoping maybe next year or two, but with everything going on right now, who knows?
Right.
It's rough.
You kind of answered the latter part of my question that I was going to come out with. Would you in the future? Because I think from a fan's view, especially seeing TOS and PWA and PAPW, seeing students bred in a company and being able to have that homebred talent, I think is so beneficial for a company. So that's something you would definitely think about in the future, though. I mean, obviously, like you said, there's a lot of topsy-turvy.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. I'd love to.
Now, the talent that you have come through Immortal, I've seen, I haven't been up to Immortal. I was actually supposed to go to the Mall Madness that was coming up. It was going to be my first Mortal show. And son of a bitch, the COVID kicked everybody's ass. And
it's rescheduled.
Could you please talk to us, since you don't have homebred students, could you talk to us about maybe 5 or, like a half a dozen of the talent that you feel is some of your top talent right now in the company?
Well, we got one of them on the panel here.
Slick Wagner Brown.
My inaugural champion, Slick Wagner Brown. I mean, I've admired Slick as a wrestler before I even became a promoter. I mean, I followed him at 2CW.
Nice.
And then when I had the Dynasty, we brought him in there. And then when I ran my first show, he was in the main event.
I appreciate that.
Nothing but love, Slick. You know that, man.
Yes, sir.
But let's see. There's so many. I mean, like
I know.
Christina Marie, my women's champion. I wish she would get her name out there more than she does because she's that good and she really deserves to showcase her talents other places besides just like 3 or 4 promotions. Right now, actually the company's been taken over by Greek god Papa Don.
Papa Don.
Oh yeah, Poppin' Ben Hameen.
Again, I see from afar because I try to keep my eye on as much as I can. And Immortal really has some amazing talent that come through those doors. Now, Mr. Mancini, there's some of the talent that, and I believe one of Immortal's current champions right now, Rick Recon, has come through PAPW. He had a match with, if I'm not mistaken, Richard Holiday. Doesn't feel that was the match he could have had with Holiday and is looking for a rematch. Again, I know times are weird right now, but with Mr. Recon looking for a rematch with Mr. Holiday, now Richard Holiday is really, he's a shining star right now in MLW, and he comes back home all the time. We see that. Is that something, a match that maybe we could see down the future?
Well, possibly. He just re-signed with MLW after a long conversation with me and Roma. Roma's the storyteller. He's the booker, if you will, and I'm sure it could be put together very easily.
Now, because that man was there already, and then they gave him another contract because he's doing that good out there. Does his contract still allow him to come back home to PAPW to do matches and such?
Oh yeah, PAPW will always be his home. That contract excludes the big boys, so not PAPW. So, yeah, he'll if he's available. I mean, I tried to book him for a show before he was in Mexico, but if he's available, not working for MLW, he'll work for PAPW. Yeah.
Now, Mr. Slick Wagner Brown, TOS, I always talk about in these interviews for a few reasons. One is the intimate setting that the fans get to have in your dojo. The intimacy is beyond any other company that I've been in except PWA. It's the closest thing I can kind of compare it to. It's a room with a ring and about 20, 30 seats or so. And I will tell you, sir, you guys and girls put on amazing, really fun memories for us, the fans. Now, my question for you is, because it's such an intimate setting, have you ever felt like we need to get into a bigger place because, you know, we are growing little by little. We are definitely growing. Has another place ever been put in the motions in Slick Wagner's mind?
It's been thought about. It's been thought about. I mean, right now, I am the sponsor, so you gotta try to keep the overhead, as low as possible.
Know
So
that feeling.
we're
Me
doing
too.
the best we're doing the best we can right now, but that is definitely a thought. And if we can get a sponsor, if someone gets an eye on our product and feel like they can help us grow in that way, then sure, we'll definitely consider it. But right now, I always like to be like, we're in a position where you're turning people away versus like in a position where, man, we need more people. You know what I mean? It's better to turn people away than have the empty seats, if you will.
And I noticed the men and women that work at TOS or perform, however you'd like to put it, they're not afraid in that tight setting to do a tope suicida or flip over the ropes and really let us, the fans, be totally part of that action, and we eat it up every single time. Now, excuse me. What I find fascinating about Tesla Strength specifically is you give us free shows once a month on a Sunday. You call them training days. How does a free show come to fruition and continue the length that it has? Because we're approaching training day 29, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's basically a sample. If you want to get people hooked on a product, you got to give them a sample, and that's what we do. And we hope that by them coming to a training day for the first time, they will be hooked and they'll buy a ticket to a road event. So that's the process. That's the thinking.
Now, Ms. Scarfo, PWA, it's been on a hiatus, but now you guys are coming back, yourself and Joseph Von Schmidt, your co-partner, if you will.
Mhm.
He's down in Georgia. You guys set something up. There was supposed to be an event happening in April. Now, did that ever get off the hook?
No, unfortunately, it was supposed to be April 17th, but we had to cancel it. I think they shut their state down like the week before or something like that. I mean, we weren't gonna have it at that point anyways, but officially we couldn't because of that. So.
Okay. Now, are there plans to take that same event and move it to a proper date once this all kind of settles down a bit?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Von Schmidt's expressed a little concern with me about how hot it gets down there during the summer, in the venue that we would have it in. But we're definitely talking about trying to reschedule it. It's the same thing up here, though, as of right now. Their state is open, but they're not allowed to do venue events and stuff like that. So it's all going to depend on the state's opening, and I think the regulations that they're going to put on everybody, too, as to if we can get another date. So, but ultimately...
A little further on that same question, hypothetically, everything's good. Now, when we spoke on a Stirring the Pot, beautiful sunny day, we talked about that the PWACT part of it was supposed to come at the end of summer or the beginning of fall. Hypothetically, everything is good. We'll say midsummer. Just put that out there. Is that schedule still part? Is that on the table? Are we still going to kind of be seeing PWA come back to CT on that kind of schedule if everything's good?
I'm hoping so. It's probably going to be more fall at this point, but I'm definitely hoping so. I don't see why it wouldn't at this point. Hopefully, even if everything isn't perfect by summer, which I'm assuming it's not going to be, I'm hoping that come fall something can be worked out.
Okay.
So.
Now, Mr. King, up in Immortal, you guys have some cool things going on out there. You actually have a power ranking set up, like some old school power rankings.
Yes.
Could you talk to us so the fans can maybe learn a little bit more of Immortal that don't know about Immortal?
Actually, believe it or not, that was my 17-year-old son's idea. He handles like most of my social media, my Twitter account, Instagram, and he came up with that all on his own. He's really creative. He does all my flyers for me, and helps out with creative.
Wow.
So, but
That's pretty cool.
Nick, he's in the other room. So, your power rankings. How'd you come up with that?
You're frozen.
Well, your
King.
picture. Yeah, your picture is kind of frozen, Mr. King.
Oh no!
We can hear you, but your picture is totally frozen.
Oh, nice.
You're Disney right now.
At least I don't have a little icon.
Hey, yeah, we still. So even though we can't see you, should we maybe try to? Could you hang up and maybe try to come back, or are you good right the way it is?
You can't see anything right now?
We see a frozen. Yeah, we see a frozen Mike King.
Right, let me hang up. I'll call you right back.
Yeah, go ahead. I think he's. I don't know. Skype is so weird sometimes. That's the only thing about doing these interviews, you know. Oh wait, there we go. What do we got going on?
What do we got over there?
Wait, Mr. King? Mr. King? Yeah, Mr. King. Oh, now it's there. We are. Yeah.
There you go.
Look at that.
You know, talking power rankings. The creator of the power rankings, you said, is there. Could we get the power rankings idea?
Nick, come on over. Yeah, he's a little hoarse because he's under the weather, but come on over here, Nick. he's a little froggy at the moment.
That's okay.
Yeah, I can talk through him. He's a little camera shy too, so.
Okay, so how about this? Let's further on the power rankings. Who decides who's number one and who's down at the bottom of the list?
Yeah, it's my son Nicholas and my other son Michael. But I mean, obviously it goes by like record wise.
Okay.
And who they've beat. I mean, you could be 3-0, but haven't defeated anyone. That's put you up higher in the ranking. And if they've got a belt, that obviously puts you higher up in the rankings.
Now, do you do like the first contendership and all of that stuff, like a traditional, belt, challengers to the belts?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I even did at our biggest show of the year last year, Immortal Things. We did a King's Ransom ladder match.
Ooh.
And it's basically like Money in the Bank, where the winner gets a guaranteed title shot at any time, where they can cash in when and where they wanna. So that was a real fun idea. We're gonna be doing that again.
How many participants in the match?
What do we have? 6? 7. Actually 7, because the winner of the opening battle royal gained a spot in the ladder match.
Wow. Mr. Mancini, one of the best matches that I've ever seen at PAPW a couple years back. Marcel Williams was a champion at the time, if I'm not mistaken, and Matthias was going against him in a ladder match. Wow. I remember that like it was just last week, and I'm telling you, that to date is still one of my all-time favorite PAPW matches. I noticed, though, you guys don't do a lot of these ladder matches. Is it something we might be able to see in PAPW a little bit more?
Well, Don, here's the heartbreaker. And I didn't have to twist Roma's arm, but I wanted to go outside the box. So, unfortunately, May 9th in Woodbridge was the premiere of, it was going to be the premiere of PAPW Hardcore.
Oh.
And it was going to be the first hardcore show that PAPW ever ran. I had an 8-woman battle royal elimination as the main event. I had one of the original Connecticut hardcore guys, Bull Dredge, working that, and I had some little people coming, and I had luchadors coming, it was a really different show for PAPW, and there was going to be some color, and there was going to be some crazy stuff. I wanted to go outside the box for once. I wanted to give it a test drive because we pride ourselves on being G-rated, and it's a show for everyone, and I just wanted to shake things up a little bit, you know what I mean? And it was outside of East Haven. I was going to Woodbridge for it, and it was going to be, a hardcore show. But unfortunately, the COVID came and that ended that. So, I'm hoping, hell, by I'm talking to Roma, and we're hoping we could still pull Dieselmania off by like October, November. So, and that would be Dieselmania 5. So, and like Kara said, we had something in the works with her, and we were, everybody was raring to go. So, I still want to reschedule that hardcore show, just to see what happens. You know what I mean? Because don't get me going about the business itself.
No.
Don't get me going about the business itself. So,
Come on, just go.
We'll be here
No.
for a while.
You can't
We'll be
say that
here
and
for
not
a while.
know.
I just wanted to mix it up a little bit, and it didn't happen.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. To be honest with you, adding a little bit of just a different flavor within a company, there's nothing wrong with that at all, because us, the fans, and I've said this a million times on these interviews, and you all know this firsthand. Us, the fans, we are so fucking easy. You give us a little bit and we latch right onto it. It doesn't matter what it is. You know us. It just takes a little bit of something and we run totally with it. Now, Miss Scarfo, I see you've been going to the PAPW shows over the course of the last couple months, and I love seeing a promoter going into another company, hanging out as a fan, talking to the talent, talking to the people that own the company, talking to the fans that you've known from PWA and such. That to me is so special as a fan, because that's that stigma that we were talking about at the onset of this interview. You like going to these shows and hanging out as a fan and checking these things out, huh?
And I'll tell you what, Don, as you mentioned before, that her talent from PWA has branched out and to different promotions. Let me tell you something. When the PWA wrestlers that have branched out, as you say, when Tara comes walking through that door, they flock her. So they'll always be PWA. They'll always be PWA. I mean, they absolutely flock right to her. It's a great thing to see.
Yeah, they'll always be my guys.
Yeah, true.
They really will.
Girlie on loan.
I mean, you really could have them. I mean, I'll just rent them back, sometimes. No, I mean, I enjoy going to. I go to PAPW. I go to TOS too. When I can make it to either of them. But I like to be supportive. I mean, I haven't had anything going on with PWA for 2 years now. So I took my time and I did what I did, and I've continually watched and just tried to be as supportive as I can. Of not just like the wrestlers, but also of any promoters I can too, and any companies.
Now, it's funny that Mr. Mancini says they're PWA forever, because it's the same with some of the students at TOS. They say the same things, the Sammy Diaz's and such. Miss Scarfo.
I could technically claim Sammy, just saying.
Sammy's fantastic. Sammy's fantastic.
Just
Miss
kidding.
Scarfo, you bred some fantastic students that, again,
Sammy's
the word
great.
Yeah. Now,
Sammy's come a long way.
He has.
Great.
We gave Sammy the very beginning foundation of what he had, and then he went and got he got fine tuned. So he's doing very well.
Yeah.
So he's doing very well.
Now, Slick, seeing that your students just rise to these occasions where they're going to other companies, and I'm going to have to revert back to PAPW, because it doesn't matter which one of the four of those guys in the firm and I know I keep reverting back to those, and you have many fine students, but I have to use them as an example. The heat that they bring at TOS, it flows right over to BAPW very seamlessly because they make that magic happen.
Right.
I don't know what you guys do at TOS, but I'll tell you, my man, you guys are breeding some amazing students because that Elijah 6 will get any child in a PAPW show and just spit fire. Oh my God, the children absolutely hate that guy amongst the other three. Give us your thoughts on seeing your guys and girls, go to other companies and really get that character resurgence like that,
Yeah, well, Eli from day one. I mean, when I first saw Eli, and just watching him, the way he walks, the way he talks, the way he carries himself, I go, that guy is a fucking villain right there. Like that guy, he walks into a room and people, want to punch him in the face, and that's great. I think that's great. It's natural, and there's nothing better than that. It's not something that you have to put on. You know what I mean? Because people can see through that in a heartbeat. So, like, other workers and fans can see through that. I tell those guys constantly, like, fans, like, they're not trained, so they can't tell you why they don't connect with something because they're not trained. But you can see it when it happens. You can see it when they disconnect or never get plugged in, and you can see it when they do. And when they do, it's magic. And Eli has that. Sammy had it. We had to put some work into Sammy because at first he was a hero and, he was very vanilla. And I was like, man, he needs something extra. And we made him a villain, and it was off to the races. Now he's in his zone. You know what I mean? And Jay has it when it comes to promos. Jay has it. He's a natural. Just he doesn't have to say a lot, but his body language, his reactions are money. And then you have Richard Stone. That kid is a promo machine. He's a fucking character, and he can cut promos like nobody's business. And Bobby Ocean is the one that put me onto that because I had the same struggles with Richie as I did with Sammy. So we were trying to make Richie a hero, but he was vanilla and he wasn't showing much personality. And Bobby sent me a video of those guys doing what I like to call therapy, wrestling therapy. And it was just them talking about life and stuff. And he did a lawyer type promo. And I was like, that's it. That will bring his personality out and his character out. And he really ran with it. I told him, keep doing that. And I said, you got to figure out an outfit. And he showed me an outfit he had in mind. And I was like, that's it. And he just ran with it. The next time he showed me something else, it was like leopard print. I was like, that's money. That's before Tiger King. He had the leopard print before Tiger King. But it just looks like, I want to punch that motherfucker in the face right now.
He does.
Perfect. Yeah. They call him Smurf and everything. I was like, dude, that's money. You don't have to do anything. You just walk out and they want to eat you. It's great.
Mr. King, you've heard the description of the firm. Are you familiar with the firm as a collective at all?
No, I am not actually.
Now, hearing these characters the way Slick has just described them, as a collective, they are just unbeatable character-wise. I'm telling you, and in the ring too, they're just fantastic. It's a fantastic package altogether. But again, individually, they do their own thing just as well. It's amazing how they can do that. Would the firm, now that hearing the way Mr. Wagner has described these guys, would the firm maybe be some kind of characters you would want in Immortal?
Absolutely. I'm always game for new talent, and coming from Slick School, I'm sure they're wonderful.
Because we know some of the best heels really just elevate events. And I'm telling you, these guys will piss off every single person in that building when they come out. I'm telling you. Now,
they know how to get heat, King.
Yeah, they do.
They're young, hungry guns, and they know how to get heat.
They absolutely do. Now, Mr. King, when do you run your events? When we were going, how often did you run your events for? Once a month, or how did it go?
Yeah, usually about once a month.
Okay. Now, is it a rolling venue, or do you have one stop where you go?
Rolling venue. I run from Albany up to Rome.
Oh,
And
nice.
Watertown, I was planning a show this coming year, but obviously I don't think that's going to happen with everything going on.
Okay.
Watertown's a good town.
Yeah, oh
Good
yeah.
town, yeah.
I've seen many shows up there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about Immortal. Do you guys have any specific tournaments that you do? I know you talked about the ladder match, but is there anything specific? Like PWA was very unique. Left side was face, right side was heel, and there was random numbers that were drawn. I'm going to jump into that. It was very unique, and it caught my eye, and I wanted to check out PWA so bad just because of that. I didn't even care who worked there. Is there any unique flavor of Immortal that you offer?
What's that? Yeah, I mean, we did a gauntlet match for the crowning of the first ever champ. That was kind of unique.
Now,
And obviously, Mr. Brown there was involved in that.
First ever Immortal champion. That's history.
That
I
is.
was just gonna say, how does that feel? Because you've known Mr. Wagner for a long time. Obviously, you have a respect between you two. He becomes your first ever champion. That says a lot for your friendship, I would think, right?
Oh, definitely. And he's a worker. He's
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, yeah, I'm not taking away from his
Fired
skill.
him, and I was proud to put the belt on him.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing because seeing Slick Wagner Brown, he eats people alive in the ring, and I love to see him work. Oh my goodness, he's such a great, a joy to watch every single time. Now, do you have a lot of intergender stuff that you do in Immortal? Because I know intergender over the past 5 years has been kind of rampant.
We haven't yet. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, and New York State's funny. Some commissioners aren't really too keen on that, so you got to be careful some of the stuff you do in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Even
good for
in
them. Good
I
for
mean,
them.
Okay.
I didn't hit the guardrails, and you got the commissioner breathing down your neck.
Wow.
that I get. I don't get the intergender part, but
I'm not a fan.
I don't intergender and hitting guardrails are two totally different things. But
I'm not a fan of intergender wrestling at all.
And the athletic commission is very strict.
I see its purpose. I just don't get why it would be restricted. So
Right. What are the differences between the New York Commission and the Connecticut Commission? Because I have not a clue. Like, you don't have to go into detail or list a bunch of things, but
The athletic commission is very strict.
I see its purpose. I just don't get why it would be restricted. So
right. What are the differences between the New York Commission and the Connecticut Commission? Because I have not a clue. Like, you don't have to go into detail or list a bunch of things, but what are a couple of the key differences to have to be able to run in New York compared to Connecticut?
We don't have one in CT.
we don't have a commission yet.
Oh, wow.
Dude.
Wow, okay.
One huge difference. No.
What out there, things like?
What's that?
You have an ambulance, a doctor, all that, or?
No, we don't need that in CT.
I've only had that depending on a venue. Like if a venue requested it of me, that's all I've had it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm talking.
The insurance, licensing, ambulance, and doctor, it's very expensive to run a show.
The event insurance, yeah.
Yeah, insurance is expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, could you talk to us, Mr. Mancini, about the difficulty of keeping a company afloat? Because there's so much wrestling right now. It's probably the most that there's ever been in our history of wrestling. I want to say, I don't know that from a bag of beans, but what I'm see from a distance as a fan, there's a whole ton of wrestling. How difficult is it to keep a company afloat nowadays?
Well, with the COVID, it's hard. You know what I mean? I kind of envy Immortal because the only thing he's concerned about is running a show. Where Slick and I have a rent, you know what I mean?
Right.
We have rent, we have electricity, you know what I mean? And if that student doesn't come through the door and join, you know, or we can't run a show, we're digging in our own pocket to pay the rent. So, you know,
we're still writing checks through this COVID.
Yeah, you guys didn't get any assistance for that.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. It's difficult. You know what they're doing on TV. Listen, what my company did. We let a lot of the senior guys be creative, and what they did at the school, I appreciate. I think they did a good job with those matches all over the parking lot and everything. And kind of like the matches on TV that you see with the WWE and AEW, you know, 36 years in the wrestling business. Unlike baseball or football, I mean, the psychology of pro wrestling involves the crowd. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? That's what psychology is all about, is about the crowd. You know what I mean? So, in our business, it's a rough go right now. With you know what I mean? It's a rough go. When you have a wrestling match and you can hear a pin drop. I'm not saying back in the 80s I wasn't involved in some of those matches in front of 15,000 people where the guy got me in a chin lock and I go, we got to switch up and do something else. You know what I mean? But to actually have no one there, that's kind of that it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I understand that they need to put the product out, and I understand we need to all put the product out and say, hey, we haven't forgotten about our fans, and we hope you didn't forget about us. You know what I mean?
They've got TV contracts to satisfy. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah. The thing about it is, I believe with all of us, because of the COVID and because of the break, I believe that the first poster that goes up that we put up, there's going to be a flock of people starving for live pro wrestling. I think we're going to have good houses, and I think it's going to have a strong comeback because people want to see wrestling. You know what I mean? So, I thank God for that. The only thing is, when's it going to be over? I tell people, I don't mean to be a downer, but, we're done with COVID-19. We're all done with it. We're sick of it. We're done with COVID-19. The problem is COVID-19 done with us? You know what I mean? That's the question. Right. So we could open up and do this, and we've been hibernating, and we're in, and we've been, we're sick and tired, and we need to go out and get, okay, but what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen, Don, and we rolled that dice just before this stuff got really major at the NX Club. We rolled that dice, and knock on wood, we came out okay.
You guys did well with that.
Yeah, there were no cases, and we had Bob Backlund there, and there were no cases of COVID-19 or no one got sick from that show. And but the thing is, 2 weeks later, if we ran that show 2 weeks later, we would have to cancel it. I mean, all hell broke loose. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Miss Scarfo, I would like to have you, and I know it's a weird time for PWA right now. Could you tell us, the fans, so maybe we could look up on, the face page and the Twitter and stuff, maybe some talent that we could be seeing at PWA when you guys return? And it doesn't have to be a long list, just, and it's not to slight anybody, but just to kind of maybe give us an idea on who would be coming on to the PWA shows.
The Firm. I figured I had to say that for you. I mean, I of course, like all of our champions would be coming back. Sebastian Cage, Steve Pena. Actually, Dickie Moon was one of our last champions too. So all those guys are going to be coming back. I want to bring back some of our homegrown guys. Moonshine, Dickie, obviously. I want to bring in some of the newer guys. Like, I have a lot of interest in like some of Mario's younger students and some of the guys coming out of Slicks and stuff like that too. And like we kind of always did, we brought in guys from New York. And so I kind of want to do the same thing too. I want to bring back like Evander James and Montekia and stuff like that, and be able to intermingle them with like some of the newer guys like the CMEs and stuff like that too. So
now you've been keeping your eye on the pulse with the newer scene. Is there anybody that stands out don't say the firm, please. Anybody that stands out that you would want to maybe pull that piece of the Jenga puzzle and be like, I'd love to have you on my event.
Well, I mean, just it's hard not to say the firm though, because I think that they're probably like,
damn it.
But even if I take Sammy and Eli out of that, I'm highly impressed with Jay and now I can't remember his name either. Richard Stone too. I'm highly impressed with all of them. But even like Mario has like some of the younger students, like I mentioned it before, like Flash Waller. I think he's got a huge amount of potential. So I mean, some of those guys like that, like I've been keeping my eye on.
Mr. Wagner Brown, kind of the same thing, but in a different way. Could you tell us some of your fine students that you've been, that been rising in TOS? And again, it doesn't have to be a long list, but for the fans that don't know of who the talent is in TOS, name off some names so we can maybe go check them out and get them more involved with them.
Well, everyone has said the firm so far, so obviously those guys. I got a new face, Ichiban. He's under a mask. I think he has a lot of potential, and he could be, we call them heroes and villains, and he has a lot of potential to be a superhero, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's for sure.
He is very good in the ring and very, very energetic, and people just love him. He just automatically gets that love, and it's very hard to do that in our business. Very hard, because people are quick to hate you. It's easy to hate somebody, but to get people to love you unanimously, that means there's something about your energy. You know what I mean?
All right. Now, Mr. King, we've seen some fine talent come through the doors at Immortal. Again, I haven't been there live, and I'm a jackass for not getting there. But what do you like? Do you like heels? Do you like the hero? Do you where are you at when it comes to wrestling per se as a fan?
Be honest with you, I'm kind of neutral. I mean, because obviously it takes a great heel to get the crowd really fired up and hating you, and just, I mean, one of my guys that stands out and Slick knows him well is Ben Hameen. He get that crowd so riled up, it's beyond. He brings the heat like no other. And then you got like homegrown. Well, not, I wouldn't say homegrown, but like hometown favorites like Rick Recon and Christine Marie. I mean, the pops they get when they come to the ring. Kennedy Copeland. So
now, I noticed you do have. I noticed you do have a pretty good women's division going on at Immortal. Not every company offers not only a women's division, but a championship to go with it. Was that something you definitely wanted to have within your company?
Yes, for sure. That was actually the second title that I introduced, was the women's title.
Now,
and main evented the biggest show of the year. I mean, we had about almost 650 people at that show.
That's a great house. Wow, good for you. Good for you.
And it was hell. I rented an armory out in Schenectady, and it had to be almost 90 degrees outside that day. It was crazy hot.
Of course.
That's excellent.
So the end of the night, the crowd started thinning out, but it was an awesome show, and the women main event at that.
Nice.
What's the name of the Immortal Championships WrestleMania, if you will?
I lost my title that event. I didn't like it that much.
I'm sorry. What was the name of it again?
Immortal Things.
Oh, okay. How do you now? Does your partner, your silent partner over there, does he create all of the names as well?
He does. As you can tell, he's a huge Stranger Things fan. So
that's
he did an awesome job with that poster. Yes, he didn't like that event too well. He actually ended up dropping the title that night.
He does the posters too.
He does.
Wow. That's cool, man.
Yeah, he's pretty creative. Posters, T-shirts, he does it all.
That's what's up.
That's
Yeah.
nice to have that stuff in house.
Yes.
sir.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
yeah.
The only thing he hasn't done is design my belts, and Tiki God Studios, a good friend of mine, does an amazing job on them.
Nice.
The best part about that, he's in house, so you can get on his ass and be slow about it.
That's true.
Like even now doing stuff which he doesn't really need to be. Like as you notice, he's been doing like Superstar of the Day. He's been putting on Instagram and Twitter and just keeping our name out there.
Yeah.
We've
yeah,
been
that's good.
actually almost each night of different shows, and
Yeah,
So,
Ryan,
what are the
Ryan Bear's been doing write-ups for our guys. So he
You
started
saw
off
that.
all the
Beautiful.
champions. So
Yeah.
He's a good writer.
he is a good writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know if it's relative, but Foss is stupid. I don't know. Never mind. No, Mr. King. One more question before I move on. What are the titles that are offered at Immortal Championship?
oh, we got the heavyweight championship, then we got the women's championship, then we have a Northeast championship, and I just introduced at the last show we had before the pandemic 24/7 title.
Oh my God, Mike Skyros. Are you kidding me? Holy cow, that thing has been a blast with that belt. You guys are crazy with that belt.
Oh, it was great. The first ever champion was our referee Sideburns. All three guys were down, and he waved for a referee from the back and just hopped on and got the pin. And it was short lived because Just Incredible came to him over the back, and he was the second champion. And then Scarfo ended up leaving with it.
Oh man, that whole thing.
It was a really fun.
That a ton of fun, man. So glad you guys introduced that into the company. So much fun. Mr. Mancini, I would like for you to speak of some of your fine talent that you have within the company, because not only do you have them come through the doors from other companies, like you said, but you have some homegrown talent right there at the company. Could you give us some of the names?
Well, we have Matthias DiNapoli, who's one of our great talents. He's a really good kid. When I say that somebody's really, really great, if I say somebody's good, they're good in the ring, but they're not exactly good in the dressing room. When I say they're great in and out of the ring, then that's important in the wrestling business. A guy like Sammy Diaz, not only is he great in the ring, but he's great in the dressing room too. So he's a good, respectable kid. We have Matthias DiNapoli. Like Kara said, we have Flash Waller, he's a talented kid. He's coming along. Of course, we have, the House of Pain. That's our tag team champs and our steadies. Marcel Williams, of course, another steady. We added Bull Dread to our roster, and I've loved Bull for a long time, and I'm glad he came in and made his mark. So we have a lot of guys that are coming up, and I have one student now has a lot of promise, and he's going to be coming in as the guy.
The guy.
What?
The guy.
He's the guy.
Really?
Not a guy, the guy.
No, he's the guy. He's the guy.
Wow.
Yeah, he's almost there. We're getting him there. He's almost there. He's gonna explode when he comes in. He's the guy.
Mario, I thought you said
wanna
you
see
liked
him.
this guy. I thought you said you liked this guy.
What are the championships that are offered at PAPW, sir?
Well, you have the heavyweight title, you have the tag team title, you have an intercontinental title that I think we really need to retire, because I think we're all, like we said, we're all from, we kind of we're back in the 80s, so we have an intercontinental title. We have a United States title, heavyweight championship. So we had a lot of good talent there, and we put on really good shows. Roma puts a lot of twists and turns into the storylines. And you know, the most important thing for me with Paradise Alley was when we opened in 2015 is, you know, I met Roma in '84. I met Big Steve in '88. I met Perez in '88. You know, so to see these guys a couple times a week where you're out of the wrestling business and you're lucky if you bump into them once a year, it meant a lot to us to you know, have that friendship every week. And then that school ended up, hey, let's run a show, you know, when we had enough guys. And that's when Big Daddy came in. The Guardian of Chaos came back.
Big Daddy.
Yeah, Big Daddy.
I love Big Daddy.
Now you want to talk about talent. You know, yeah, that guy is multifaceted when it comes to the wrestling business. So we had Big Daddy come in, and you know, we had Big Jim Anderson come over from that other organization. Kara, I'm sorry, man. I'm the first time I ever met with that when I looked down and ever met with him, and I was looking down at him. He told me to treat my wrestlers like cattle. Like cattle. I said, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So
I think Slick gets it now.
Yeah. He said, treat them like cattle, except for your heavyweight champion. Everybody you can get rid of. But like, yeah, no. You see, the difference is I've worked for Vince McMahon for 8 years. And I know Vince McMahon, and I'm not saying Vince McMahon can't be ruthless when he wants to, but you know, he also can be very fair when he wants to. And you know, I did a couple stretcher matches, you know, that he personally came up and shook my hand and thanked me for. You know, he didn't treat me like a piece of cattle. You know what I mean? So, well, yeah. So, Paradise Alley. The Paradise Alley, like I said, we pride ourselves on family entertainment. I'm just really frustrated because I wanted to get out of that box just one time. Just one time I wanted to get out of that box.
Doesn't mean you still can't.
I know.
Yeah, right. So this hardcore thing, this is your baby that you've kind of brought to the table?
Yeah, this was my baby. And you know what? It's like, again, when you mentioned that a lot of wrestling promotions don't bring female wrestling to the table, we're one of those organizations that don't. You know, that don't. And you know what? I'm at the ticket table. Okay, so I'm at the ticket table. I run the business of Paradise Alley. So I am at the ticket table, and I see the fans coming in and coming out, and they're like, "We have some women." So, you know, I started off with that, and I didn't want to go small. I said, you know what, I'm gonna have an 8-woman battle royal elimination match, and I got a hold of everybody I wanted to work, and I had a lucha match, hardcore, you know, I had it all going on, and with the blessing of Roma, because that's my brother. And I love him, and I would never go against him. So you know, with his blessing, you know, he said, "Yeah, Mario, let's do it. Let's do it." And it just, hopefully, I can have it again. But there's other things now that the months are coming, that other things were planned already, like the Taco Fests and everything like that. So, you know, hopefully everything will work out. You know.
Now, Ms. Scarfo, a couple questions. What are the championships that you offer in PWA? And we've talked a little bit about hardcore ladder matches and such. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in PWA, if I'm not mistaken, but correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have that kind of, not maybe hardcore specific vibe ever go into the company? Would you ever offer that? And again, what are the championships that you offer?
Championships, we have our international title. We have our heavyweight title, which is actually named after Ox Baker. So it's our Ox Baker Heavyweight Championship. We have the tag titles, and we have a TV title, which I don't think we're going to have a TV title coming back at all.
Okay.
We haven't had much hardcore, and like if I go back through the history of PWA, we have had ladder matches. We had a really good ladder match at a venue that we ran in Hamden that had a nice balcony, and there was like a nice little jump off the balcony too. But that one sticks out in my mind. But we have had a few of those. I think we might have had a hardcore match along the way, but personally, I'm not a huge fan. So I'm one of those people that thinks that like they have their place at a certain point, but I don't want them on every show. Like Mario's is like kind of an ideal thing because it's like a nice event built around all that kind of stuff. But I definitely am not against a nice build up to a ladder match and stuff like that. So going forward.
And PWA, the fans are very kid driven, I must say, at a PWA specifically.
At the Friday Night Fights.
Yeah, at the Friday Night Fights. The kids were overwhelming to the adults, which is what it's supposed to be. But old guys like me that still relive those days of wanting to see wrestling, we go, you know. But yeah, very kid driven. So I could probably understand maybe weaning, you know, not being interested in that form of wrestling, if you will.
Well, the way that it was set up there with our school, I specifically told all the guys before the show, like, no diving out of the ring, because you're diving out of the ring, you're diving into someone's lap. You know, I think we might have had a few dives, you might have had a few jumps, like at specific times. We're like, is it okay for us to do this? Yes, that's fine, because you know everybody else now knows, and that's okay. But you know, but yeah, there was a lot of that stuff was dictated by the venue too for us. So,
Mr. Slick Wagner Brown, what are the championships that are offered at Test of Strength? Because I've seen them all unveiled as they were coming out, which is amazing to see that happen in a company, the evolution of a company, if you will.
Yeah. Well, we've got a Test of Strength championship. We've got the TOS Tag Team Championship, and we've got the K1 Classic, which is a tribute to my mentor and trainer, Killer Kowalski.
Now, I noticed with that trophy, it's a beautiful trophy. Yeah, I've been yelled at by Richard E. Stone. I've been yelled at Sammy Diaz for touching it, just trying to take a picture of it. They always like
you
to
ever been
poop
yelled
on
at
me.
by Killer Kowalski? I have.
Oh.
No. You guys on Test of Strength, you took a trophy and you make it like it's a championship, not like it's a yearly or an annual thing that happens. And one guy is the cup holder. You use it as a title. Why did you ever decide to do that?
Well, initially it was going to be an annual event, but I thought, you know, it could be a third title. And we wanted to have 3 titles that were seen as equals. We didn't want titles to be like, this is the main title, this is the mid card, and this is the low card. We wanted 3 titles that people viewed equally. So, you know, we got the TOS Championship, the Tag Team Championship, and the K1 Classic. And I like to refer to the K1 Classic as the working title. So the guys that really bust their ass and, you know, are very well-rounded, those are the guys I look for to hold that.
Because I will tell you, seeing Brother Greatness, and now we see Sammy Diaz, and you know, you've had some fantastic talent. Hold that cup.
Don't forget the current champion, Mike Scarfo.
That's where I'm going. In a triple threat at Lone Survivor 2, the last match that we were able to see as fans.
The last event,
we had Brian Pillman Jr., Mike Skyros go against the champion, Sammy Diaz. And Mike Skyros came out with the win, the trophy. And I was right there, Mr. Wagner Brown. I took my camera, and he was like in the corner immediately as the match ended. And I went right up to him, and he looked at me. He goes, never said a word, but he put up 3 fingers. And I went like this, and he was just like, whew. And it was a moment that I will never, ever forget in Test of Strength history. And, man, you guys put on a fantastic show. And seeing Skyros there, because you guys specifically, let me dive into something since I have you with me. You guys fuck with my brain, my friend, because I boo Mike Skyros no matter where I go. And when I mean boo, I boo this sumbitch. But, oh no, Test of Strength, they got to turn the fucking pages around. And now you guys have made me cheer him at Test of Strength. And I feel weird. I feel funky. It's a little odd for me. But when I go to other venues and boo him, that has turned into something that I can't handle either. My brain doesn't know what to do. What are you doing to my brain, sir? Why is he a hero at one place and not at the pretty much everywhere else? And people he likes to pee on everybody.
Right. I don't know. For me, I view villains as like somebody that people are like afraid of. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be caught in a dark alley with this guy, or someone that's just like you just don't like for whatever reason, whether it's their attitude, the way they look, the way they smell, whatever it may be. You just don't like them. But when I saw Skyros, I always saw a hero. He looks like fucking Twilight. How can you boo him? Like, you know, he he is like, to me, like the hero is like someone that, you know, guys want to have a beer with, and the girls want to, you know, have a beer with too, or a cigarette or something. I don't know. But that's how I see him, and I hopefully what we're doing with him, and you know, he continues to grow and develop, and maybe that will rub off in other places.
Hey, man, again, you twist my brain, and I'm not very bright, so I get twisted very easily. Now, before I let all of you, and I cannot thank you enough for spending as much time as you have with me. I could talk to you for another hour or two, but I know you don't want none of that. So
my
I would
battery
like to,
will not allow it.
I would like to close round robin with each of you. Mr. King, Immortal Championship Wrestling. When we come back to a little bit of normalcy, wrestling starts back up. Who would you like to see come into your company in the future? Maybe name a few, you know, maybe 3 or 4 that either you've had your eye on previous, or that you've kind of fell upon during this whole shutdown thing right now, and you go, oh man, I need that guy or girl on my show.
There's not, I don't think there's like any one specific. I mean, we still, even with not running, get emails like almost daily, guys sending the resume and wanting to come in for us, and they hear from, say, one of the guys we've had on the show, like, oh, I'm a good friend. What's that? Yeah, like guys like Jordan Oliver, he's been like begging to come in. We just got to find a date that works for him. And Nick actually answers a lot of my emails for me. Who's some of the other ones that? Yeah. JT Dunn's been bugging me to bring him back again, and I love JT.
He's a nice kid.
He's definitely one that I plan on bringing in again for sure. It's just like lining up his schedule and ours, as you know. A lot of these guys are booked quite a ways in advance. Vinny Pacifico is another one that we had scheduled to be debuting, and we had to cancel the show. So,
now when we do come back, what would be the first show for Immortal coming back? Is there a plan already set in motion?
Well, I know we have the mall show rescheduled for November. It's going to coincide with WrestleFest 3.
Okay.
So we already got some huge names booked for that. But hopefully everything will be back to normal then, because I think once they do give us the okay to run, they're going to put restrictions on how many fans you can have at the show.
Yeah.
And if they say you can only have 50 fans, I can't run a show with only 50 fans. I don't know about other partners and things. I can't. Financially, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they don't put such a limit on us where we can only have so many fans in the building or event wherever we run.
Is there anything that I haven't touched upon, Immortal, as a promotion or your talent that you would like to speak of before we kind of bring this to a close?
I think you've covered a lot of the basics. I mean, like I said, I just pride myself on bringing in like the best talent I can find and just treating them like family, so that as I see and my boys see, they recommend me to other workers, and we constantly are getting better talent. Then it's so tough to turn away guys too. So, I mean, like I said, I just try to make it like as affordable and enjoyable too for the fans, where, as you know, a family of 4 can't afford to go see the big stream guys. I mean, you go ringside, $500 for 4 people. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I pride myself. I always tell people. And as these guys know, the hardest part is getting fans in the door, because if they don't see the E behind it, they don't think it's going to be a good show. And they don't realize most of these workers are hungry. They're working their asses off to be noticed and to put on a show. And I think with the big leagues, a lot of these guys get lazy over time and don't give it 100%.
What are your ticket prices?
Ringside is usually $20 and general admission $15. So,
Mr. Mancini, same questions pretty much. New talent that you might have your eyes set on that you'd like to bring in the company, and the first show back. What are we talking?
Well, I think we're looking at October at the Taco Fest. I you know, the one thing, just like Slick's gig, you know, if they say, you know, you're only allowed 30 people, I mean, we'll try to run an alley fight and limit it, you know, if we can. You know, I'd like to bring in some more lucha wrestling and more female wrestling if we could, to Paradise Alley. Paradise Alley has a lot of wrestlers in it, and it's a core. And you know what? When you run any business, you have a decision to make. You're either going to run it like a businessman, or you're going to run it like a family. And we've decided to run it like a family, because that's what wrestling business is supposed to be, is one big family. So it's hard. It's heartbreaking and hard to look at one of our guys, and you know we have a lot of them, to go, you're not booked on these shows. You know what I mean? It's so hard to do that. So I would like to bring in a couple of people, you know, for the next show. Again, that's Roma's call, but you know, I just miss it. You know, the biggest thing in pro wrestling, if you're in it, especially if you're a wrestler and a promoter, is the camaraderie. You know, I told people when I was in the WWF, sometimes the wrestling match got in the way of me having a good time, especially TV things, because we'd be having such a ball in the dressing room, and Strongbow would say, Mancini, you're up. And I'd go, don't go away. I'll be right back. You know what I mean? It would get in the way. That's how much fun we would have in the dressing room. And, you know, I have to take my hat off to Immortal. I mean, these are days that your sons are going to remember for the rest of their lives. You are so fortunate to have your children involved. My middle daughter used to sing the national anthem, and my youngest daughter runs the concessions. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's so special if you can have the family involved like that, you know. And Roma's wife comes with his little daughter, and they sit on the side and they watch, and you know, it's you know, you guys could attest to this. It's just once that rings up and the popcorn's starting to pop, and you know, Donovan, I'm in charge of concessions as well as the ticket sales. You know, and you start walking around, you just get that feeling where you're where you were meant to be. You know, I'll never forget when I was in law school and they go, hey, what a jump. I said, listen, there's no jump. I'm a wrestler. I'm just trying to do this. I'm trying to do it. Don't ever forget that. I'm just a wrestler. You know what I mean? So, you know, I just want things up and running again, and hopefully that'll be in October. And again, when things get up and running again, Karen and I'll get together and you know, I'll hear her ideas and what she wants to do, and I'll accommodate her what she wants to do, and you know, exchanges, and Big Steve's involved in that, because he had an original idea 2 years ago that he wanted to hammer home hard. You know what I mean? So, yeah, hopefully we can get back soon, you know?
You mentioned Friday Night Alley fights and the bigger shows. What are the prices for both? What's the alley fights are $5, correct?
The alley fights are $5. You know, the shows in East Haven used to be $20, $15, and $10. And going on that comment, I mean, the biggest compliment I've ever occurred in Paradise Alley. I was in the hallway, just standing against the wall, and the people were leaving. And a husband looked at his wife with his 2 kids, and he goes, "Where are you going to get entertained like that for $40?" Because they bought $10 general admission tickets. He goes, "Where are you going to get entertained like that for $40?" You know what I mean? So it's great. You know what I mean? So I think we're going to stick with 20 and 15 because of the lack of bleachers, actually. So in the new venues we're going into. So, again, hopefully we'll be back soon.
Mr. Slick Wagner Brown, TOS, I've already mentioned that. Man, you give us free shows once a month on a Sunday. That is simply amazing in its own right. But again, the same question. And you guys bring in talent from all sorts of places, man. And I've been able to network with so many wrestlers that I would have never known about if it wasn't for Tessa's strength. What are some of the names that you have that you would like to bring into TOS? And talk to us about the prices when you go on the road and do the bigger shows.
Well, before I do that, I just want to say you guys made the right decision to do this inside with proper lighting. So the training days were designed for students to get reps and to get reps in front of people, right? It's a studio setting, so there's not a lot. There's like 30, 40 people there. So, and people are standing too. So sometimes it gets to 50 and sometimes it gets a little crazy. But it's designed for those guys to get reps in front of people, because without reps in front of people, then, that's the only way you can apply what you're learning. So it's not just about learning. You got to also apply what you're learning. So it gives them that chance to do that. And also it's free. So you can't beat free. Everybody loves free, and people come and they enjoy themselves. And I can't count the amount of times they say, "Wow, I can't believe I just witnessed that for free." And they can't wait to go to a road event. They're asking us, when's the road event? When's the road event? And they don't even ask us how much it is. They just want to know when it is. So that was the intention. And also, those training days are for outside talent, right? So it's a mixture of home guys and outside talent. So it gives us an opportunity to look at different people and what they bring to the table and how we can fit that in with everything that we do. And then it makes it easy to make a decision to invest in a talent on a road event, because it's not cheap to run a road event. You have, thankfully we own our ring, but that's another pain in the ass to rent a U-Haul and get that to the building and set it up, break it down, bring it back to the dojo, set it up again. That's a pain in the ass. But it's good for the students. They get an opportunity to get their hands dirty and know that this shit is not easy. It's hard work. And they appreciate it more, because you have to, that's how you plan on making a living. If you want to make a living in this business, the only way you can do that is with the ring. That ring has a lot of power. It has the ability to change your life. It has the ability to take you around the world. A wrestling ring, it's steel, wood, and cables. It has that much ability, to change your life. Everyone that's associated with you, like people that come to see you, people that watch you on TV, you're changing all those lives. It's ridiculous when you think about it. And you have the ability to inspire people. This thing of ours keeps growing and keeps going because every single day, a little kid is being inspired. Just like I was inspired watching wrestling on television. Just like I was inspired going to live events. And turn around and you're doing the same thing that those guys on TV like Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Austin, Undertaker did for us, right? Those guys are bigger TV guys, but it's no different when you go to a live event. It is no different. Trust me. Those guys are just on television. That is the only difference. They're doing the same thing that we're doing. They're just doing it in bigger arenas in front of more people, more lights, and more money. That's it.
Man, that was so well put, my friend, because of like the camaraderie that Mr. Mancini spoke of. Test his strength, and I know we talked about family. Test your strength again. I've seen it firsthand, again with PAPW, seen it firsthand. Behind the scenes, you guys are amazing to each other. It's so cool to see that whole thing happen. Now, I waited to have Miss Scarfo do this last because she was the creator of this whole thing, and I cannot thank you enough for reaching out, and we got our minds together and combined them. Wonder Twin powers activated, and we got this thing together, and I cannot thank you enough because I think we kind of put that stigma away for a little bit, and I hope to continue to do this with more because then maybe we can just push that thing under the damn rug. A couple things. Do you think that we had such a fine time this evening that we could continue this and make this with different promoters and try to get that stigma just kind of pushed under the rug? First off, and PWA, when you come back, is it going to be the same setup? There's heels on the right, there's the face on the left, there's random numbers that are drawn. You call random numbers. They don't even know who the hell they're wrestling. We don't know who they're wrestling. And you have some very unique stuff in PWA. Is that going to be brought back when you come back to Connecticut?
Firstly, I 100% hope that you can do another one of these because I think that it was really nice to be able to have everybody talking at the same time to kind of realize that like we're all doing our own thing, but we're still kind of all united together too. But so when PWA comes back, I can't guarantee we'll be doing the Friday Night Fight stuff fully. I want to do a full venue event, which is what we used to do before Friday Night Fights. But I also want to somehow try to figure out how to include Friday Night Fights into it too. So it's stuff that I'm still kind of like, running through my head as I like go through it. But I'm hopefully it's going to be a good combination for me.
Well, I can't wait for PWA to make their way back. And if you wouldn't have pointed it out at first, Mr. Wagner Brown, I wouldn't even have caught on it. And then my eyes been caught on the lack of lighting this whole time.
I'm trying to get some light. You see that? I'm trying.
I want to thank every single one of you for spending the time. And I know this was way more than an hour than I usually run.
Yeah, no, Don, I want to thank you. I'm going to tell you why. Because you're just not a wrestling fan. I appreciate when you come to my shows. Let me tell you something. You are just not a fan. When these guys bring the heat, you're the leader out there. You make things happen out there. You're actually a part of the show. When I run my shows, I wait for you to walk through that door because I know the show's going to be that much better with you there. So I appreciate you coming to PAPW.
Wow. The love for that, Mr. Mancini. I'm a crier. Don't make me cry, man. Don't make me cry. I swear. I am. The love. Oh my. And that's why I love wrestling, because there is so much love reciprocated from fans, wrestlers, even like on the outside relationships of the ring. When we hang out, we talk at the merch tables and stuff. That's what wrestling is to me, my friend. Just a lot of love reciprocated back and forth. And I would never change a damn thing about wrestling, to be honest with you, except for the drama and the politics. Sweep that shit aside. But other than that, I love fucking wrestling so much. I really do. Mr. Slick Wagner Brown, representing TOS, thank you so much for spending the time with us tonight. I can't thank you enough, sir. Oh, did he freeze?
No, he's free.
Yeah, he did.
There he is.
Thank you for spending the time with us, Mr. Slick Wagner Brown.
Thank you for the invite, Don. This was great. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Mr. Mike King.
Mancini said it well. Mancini said it well. We appreciate you, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words, all of you. Mr. Mike King from Memorial Championship Wrestling. I can't wait to actually check a show out, because that Mall Madness thing looked really fucking cool, and I got to check out an Immortal show. Thank you for spending the time with us. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure, and I can't wait to have you at a show.
That would be so much fun because I boo very loudly and I cheer very loudly. That's what we're supposed to do at wrestling. Have a good time, not sit on our hands and be a fucking statue. Mr. Mario Mancini, you have always shown me respect and love from the day I walked into PAPW, and I cannot thank you enough for that alone. But thank you for spending the time with us and doing this whole promoters thing. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And to top it all off, my absolute, what a delight Miss Scarfo is. I am so glad to have made a friend as Miss Scarfo. I cannot thank you for the time that, never mind putting this all together, but for really, again, and I've said it probably 3 times already, but I have to stress, trying to put that stigma to the side because I think it's a bunch of bullshit. Let's have some conversations. Let's have some more fun like this, and let's put that stigma to the side. Thank you, Ms. Scarfo, for spending the time with us. I appreciate it.
No, that I agree with Mario again. Thank you for everything. Because, and I've told you this before too, I feel like your interviews and everything that you've done since this whole like quarantine has started have kind of like filled in a little bit of gap for the fans and for the wrestlers and everybody in general. So I appreciate that you've done that. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I always appreciate the kind words. And that's what we try to do. Keep the respect flowing. That's what wrestling is based upon, and it should continue upon. Respect. How hard is that? Let's make that happen. With that said, what a hell of a time we had. This stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Slick Wagner Brown, Kara Scarfo, Mario Mancini, and Mike King. This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.